One is Jason. We're going to look at how to do some rotations in the coordinate plane. So you're going to be given either some coordinates or maybe even an image, but probably just the coordinates. And then you're going to ask to rotate that object either 90, 180, or 270 degrees. We always assume counterclockwise unless otherwise stated. So we're just going to focus on counterclockwise. So here are some examples. So here's our first one. We got triangle RST with vertices at R1 -3, S3 -2, and T5 -4. And we're going to rotate it 180 degrees. And then we're going to determine those coordinates. So we're going to come up here to the table that's listed in your lesson, and we're going to find the rule for a rotation of 180 degrees. It's right there. So what it says here is that you just change the signs. So when we find our coordinates, that's what we're going to do. We're going to write our rule. So our rule is that we're going to take x, y, and we're just going to change the signs. So we're always going to write the rule, and then we're going to write the coordinates applying the rule. So R is at 1, -3. And so we're going to apply our rule, which is the opposite of 1, opposite of -3. So that's going to give me coordinates at -1, 3 for that one. S, we've got 3, -2. So we're going to apply our rule. So opposite of 3, opposite of -2. And so that'll give me a set of coordinates at 3, 2. And then finally, T is at 5, -4. We'll apply that, opposite of 5, opposite of -4. So that'll give me a final set of coordinates at -5, 4. So that's how you do a rotation of 180 degrees. Let's look at our next example. We're going to drag that with us. This time we're doing triangle BCD, and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees about the origin. And so let's look at a rotation of 90. So a rotation of 90, it says you do two things. You take the opposite of B and A, and then you swap places. So let's look at how that looks. So we've got B, let's do our rule first. I about skipped our rule. So our rule is that we take X, Y. We're going to swap X and Y. So it'll be Y and X. And then we'll take the sign for Y and make it its opposite. So let's see how this looks when we do it. So we've got B at -3, 4. We're going to apply our rule. So we'll swap them, 4. And then -3. We'll apply the opposite to the first term, or the y term, and so that'll give me a new coordinate at -4, -3. Now, why does that work like that? Just in case you're wondering. So if I'm looking at the point, so we're just going to do this kind of informally here. I've got a point at -3, 4, which is right here. If I go 90 degrees counterclockwise, it moves down to this quadrant. And so in that quadrant, both the x's are negative and the y's are negative. So that's why we have negatives for both. So we're really just kind of, when I used to teach this rule in the classroom, I would say we take the sign of the quadrant, and then that kind of handles all of this, but this rule works just fine. So let's look at the next one. We've got C at -5, -2. So we're going to apply our rule. We're going to swap the x and the y. We're going to find the opposite of the y. And so this will give me a point at 2, -5. And then finally, D is at -2, -1. -1, Mr. Rowe. We're going to swap. So -1, -2. We'll find the opposite of that y coordinate. And so this will give me a new point at 1, -2. So that's 90 degrees. And I've kind of explained why the signs are the way they are. So let's look at the last one, which will be 270. So this last one is a 270-degree rotation. And let's change colors again. Let's do, yeah, blue's good. All right, so here is our rule for 270. Let's look at this in the coordinate plane here. So we've got 4, -2, which will be down here in the 4th quadrant. We're going counterclockwise 270 degrees. So each quadrant is 90 degrees. So that's 90, 180, 270. So again, if we look at the coordinates, we look at the signs, both of these are going to be negative. So let's see if that works out for this. So our rule is that we swap A and B, and this time we take the opposite of the A coordinate. So here is our rule. We're going to write our rule first, so x, y, and we're going to turn it into y with the opposite of x. So let's write down our coordinates. B is at 4, -2. We're going to swap. So we've got -2, 4. And this time we're going to take the opposite of the x term, giving us a coordinate at -2, -4. So see, it worked out. We have our point in this quadrant, and it is both negative. Both terms are negative. All right, so W is at 1, -5. Again, we're going to apply our rule. We're going to swap, and we're at -5, 1. This time we're going to take the opposite of of the 1. And so we'll have a set of coordinates at -1 or -5, -1. And then finally we've got x at -2, 1. We'll swap the x and the y. And so we've got 1, -2. This time we find the opposite of that. And so this will give me a set of coordinates at 1, 2. So I hope this helps you with the 3 types of rotations you're going to see. If you still struggle with this or you need additional help, please let me know and I'll find you something else to help you out.